Well, yeah, that's a simple answer. I've been involved in some really, really great bands. I've been fortunate to have been a part of Tall Stories. I've been part of a wonderful band called Taiketo. And of course, after that, it was Journey. So there was no room or no need to do a solo record. However, after all these years and life experience, I finally thought I had something to say as an individual. Even if I co-wrote some of the music with some other writers, still it was going to be my self-expression, and which is half the reason why I decided to produce the record myself as well, and to release it without a record company. So I'm also the record company as well. So if it fails, it's my fault. If it succeeds, it's my fault, right? So it's yeah, 32 years. I suppose it's taken that long, but I'm a late bloomer. That's my life. That's my life story. I'm very, very proud of it. There was a lot of thought put into it, put into the music, put into the sequencing. I like ever since I listened to music as a child to this day, a record I think should be well balanced. It's like a recipe for a delicious meal. So you can't have too much pepper, you can't have too much salt. I had it can't have too many ballads, it can't have too many rock and roll songs. So I tried to balance it and put a little bit of everything, but just so that it could live in one place. And the same, it can't be too different, can't be too diversified, but I think it's diversified enough so that it makes a statement, and it takes a little thought. I could have added and subtracted other songs, but the balance goes off. It's like putting your foot in the bathtub and you displace the water. The water rises as you enter the bath. You just have to be just so. And I tried my very, very, very best to balance it. And I hope that's part of the reason why you like it, is because I put a lot of thought in it. And like you said, I had 32 years to do it. If you wanna be loved, open your heart, set it free. If you wanna be loved, open your heart up to me. Correct. Yes. Which, again, some of the reasoning was, and you mentioned 32 years. Well, also when 2020 rolled around, and the calendar year of 2020, and the world, we all shuttered ourselves in our homes, to protect ourselves from a pandemic. That was another reason to record the record, to make the record, because I wanted to get my songs out that I had written, and I wanted to express myself. So that's another reason why the record took as long as it did, but that was the catalyst. That was the reason to do the record, because I thought it would be my last chance on earth. Literally. I mean, literally, because I thought the end of the world was here. I thought it was the end of the world. I mean, I'm an optimistic guy, but I was coming to the realization and the reality that it's very possible that kaput. Again, so this is a self-expression, meaning, and which includes all many walks of life as far as music. So some music is hard rock music, some music is romantic music, some music is it's got a danceability to it, an R&B, and some of it is, of course, being American, has a Americana flavor, it's called. And that would be a song, there's just like Never Far From Home, which has a fiddle, a violin, which has some country western flavor to it, Dream that I can fly, have the wings of an airplane. Further that I climb from the earth, the closer to your love I my very first 7-inch single back in the 60s, late 60s, was Maggie May. And so from very early on, and then my sister had a Sweet 16. I don't know, in Greece, it's the same when a young lady turns 16, they have a big party. So somebody left 2 albums behind. They left Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? The other record was Every Picture Tells a Story, Rod Stewart. And I used to listen to those records back to back. I owned them. After that, when they didn't come to claim them, they became mine. So I listened to Every Picture Tells a Story over and over and over and over again. And Rod Stewart became, after the Beatles, Rod Stewart was my new vocal hero. Well, this is an expression called 7 Ways to Sunday or 7 Ways Till Sunday. And it basically means every which way, every possible imaginable way to achieve something. This is my interpretation of it. So it's like, for me, getting back to a solo record, this is my way of doing everything in my power to make this record, record it. It's taken 64 years of my lifetime. So not just 7 days, it's 64 years. And finally, it's an accumulation to get to this one point, and any which way you can. So, and under the circumstances, again, during a pandemic and the prospect of finishing it or not, it was out of desperation, but a need to absolutely have to do it. And so that has a part of the lyrical message and the reason and the definition.
We both said what we had to say, just as all others wouldn't do. Well, now time tells, when all is its fair, I'll be waiting here with bated breath.
That's probably because it would have been very easy to take the best of those 10 and then pack them into this record. And then it would have been it might have been a stronger record. However, I'm not finished writing and my story's not over. It's still somewhere in the 3/4. And so I still, I wanted to, these are songs that I felt worked together and they hadn't been heard. Again, there's no sense in putting songs out that the listener or fans have already are familiar with. I wanted to give them something fresh and new. This summer, I'm going to take those 10 songs or so and package them and put them into a record so that you can listen to it on a CD. And so, so this was my chance to give more and to, as opposed to hold back. And then the truth of the matter is, the more I think about it, I've got quite a few songs still in my trunk, in my pockets, that I'm starting to think that I might put out half of my old songs unreleased, and then put out half of the new record, new songs. But I'm still deciding which would be the best way to do it, because I still have some songs I think that I left off the record that no one's heard. I think are going to be are going to make for an equally, if you like this record, it's going to be an equally strong record. I hope you like the next one as much. Next new one. I think it's over 15 years. And it was just before we were rehearsing for Generations, or the Generations tour, I'm pretty sure. And as Neil often would show up first at the rehearsal studio, and I came second that particular day, and we were waiting for the guys. And so Neil is always creating. He's always moving forward, and he's always playing. I mean, he'll play 24 hours a day if he had the opportunity. So he's playing and he's creating. He's got an idea for, a guitar thing, and I jump on the drums and the microphone, Dean's Castronovo's drum kit. And I'm a fair drummer. I like this. But I get on the kit and I start a groove, and we start something happening. And the next thing you know it, I've got a melody, and we're singing a melody to it. And then we come up with a chorus, and we've got the majority of the song is within an hour and a half of my sloppy drums, but his perfection guitar. We created the song. However, it didn't make the record. We tried it with the band. As always, when you're writing a record, you try a lot of different ideas, and whatever connects and relates. If everybody can relate to it, it goes on a record. But that wasn't the case with this song. So I shelved it away for 15 years, or more like 12, because I started considering it for the record. And so I finished writing it here in New York at my home, in my studio. And that's it. I couldn't play Neil's original guitar parts because he's a deep player. He's, he'll play with all 10 fingers and I could play with one. So I made it a very basic, a very, down to the common denominator that anybody could play, and kind of rebuilt it back from scratch and came up with what you hear, along with Adam Holland, my guitarist in my band, ex-Valentine guitarist. And frankly, it's one of my proudest moments on the record because it's the hardest. It's a hard rock. It's not a heavy metal song, but it's as heavy as it gets on the record. And I love heavy music, and it's also very melodic. It's got just a romantic melodies, and I'm very, very proud of it, and especially because it had Neil involved in it. And
just like a satellite, your love shines where I roam. Though we're miles apart, I'm always where you are, I know.
Yes, I had written it, and the chorus at the time was the lyric was something we couldn't use. It was At Times Like These, which was at the time a Foo Fighters, huge Foo Fighters song. So John said, "Steve, you can't possibly use that. It's a huge Foo Fighters song." And frankly, this happens to me a lot. I get an idea, and if I don't act on it, somebody else comes up with the same lyric or the same melody or something. So, you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to go back to the writers. And Jonathan came up with this great new melody and a great new lyric. And so that was our collaboration. He made the chorus. He just made the chorus. It was fantastic. So, and also at the end of the song, at the time we were playing with the Valentine drummer, Michael Morales. And Michael's a great singer and a great drummer. And at the song, Michael came up with the great refrain at the end of the song, "Never far from home." He came up with that bit. So there's a third writer that, by the way, we screwed up, and his name didn't get on the back cover, but we're going to fix that on the next pressing. Michael, you did a great job, and that was a great addition to the song.
Strangers waiting, walking down the boulevard, the shadows searching the night. Streetlights, people, living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night.
Part of me does, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were truly a highlight of my life. I'll always one of the highlights of my life. It was an absolute Goldilocks story. I went from rags to riches, and it was truly rags to riches. Um, Before I joined Journey, I was barely putting food on my table to feed my wife and my son. We were just getting by. We didn't know it, but we were, the poverty line was here, and we were right on the poverty line. I'm not complaining. Those were the beautiful years too, believe me, because when you're working on your art and you're trying to achieve your goal, it's all good. It's beautiful. But somewhere along the line, somebody gave me an opportunity of a lifetime and to elevate myself and to take me. They plucked me from near obscurity, almost a no name. Nobody really knew about me, and put me in the limelight with this world famous band. I mean, who does that happen to? Very few people. So of course, it's a golden, a bright light in my timeline in my life.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Music loud, women walk, being kicked around since I was born.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just say, because I'm talking to my Greek friends and I'm talking to my new friend, Takis, every 10 blocks or so was a Greek diner. The diner were monopolized by Greek families. And whenever you would, in fact, whenever you went to have a cup of coffee, there was always a paper cup that had Greek writing and Greek symbols. There was a beautiful blue and gold cup. To this day, it's iconic. Okay, so let's go to so my neighborhood was an Italian American neighborhood, and all the great foods and all the great pastries and all the great pastas and all the and every block maybe two pizzerias, not just one, two pizzerias. Which brings us to Saturday Night Fever and 86th Street. So 86th Street was where it all breaks down, and everybody would go on the weekends and they'd go do their shopping. They'd get their fancy clothes to go to the disco later in the night. And then at that night, then they would drive up and down that street. And it was underneath, they call it an elevator line, the trains that would drive from Manhattan to Coney Island. And so Travolta would go to a famous pizzeria called Lenny's Pizza, and he did the one piece of pizza on top of the other piece of pizza, which nobody did until he did it, but it was a great idea. So now when anybody ever goes in there, they put the two pieces of pizza together, and they do it just for laughs, but those were good times, very interesting times, because right before that movie, rock and roll was dominant. And all of a sudden, it's almost like they flicked a switch, and disco and dance music became the craze. So there were very few of us that held on to being rock and rollers. And everybody changed their dress. Everybody changed their music. The culture changed. And then there were me and maybe a handful of other people in my neighborhood that still retained their rock and roll mentality. And because of it, we were outcasts. So let me just say one more thing real quick. So the nightclub 2001 Odyssey, where they had the famous, the discotheque, where he did all the great dancing, and they filmed the movie. On Wednesdays, they had a rock and roll night, and we would play there on Wednesdays to our families and our friends of maybe 20 people maximum. But that was our place to play rock and roll music on Wednesday nights in that same nightclub with the flashing floor.
I tried